What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Triangle. This is your boy D.
And it's your girl, CJ.
Have you accidentally dated a nigga and you didn't even know y'all was dating?
Wait a minute.
But then you realize we're doing shit as if we're dating.
What does that mean?
Okay, case in point.
How do you know you're dating somebody?
Listen, somebody, not me.
And I don't know what that voice was, though.
It was it was the voice of not me.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be weird shit like they'll suggest something that you like to do, and naturally you just be like, yeah, especially if you're cool with them and you don't look at them like that. Mm-hmm, so it's like, oh yeah, I like going to the movies and I like to do this, and that sounds like a great idea. Then I realized after agreeing to the plans today, I was like, nigga, are you taking me out on dates and I'm not paying attention?
Oh no, it happened to you today? Is this real life?
This is a real life story.
Oh, no.
I mean, not me, it's somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Something.
But, Could not think of one.
I realized it today, so I messed with him about it. He was like, no, it's nothing like that. But I was like, are you fucking dating me on the down low and I'm not paying attention?
Man, they're going to sneak up on.
Swoop.
The whoop. Next thing you know, you're like, where are my panties? What's happening?
Oh,
no. I'm Brandy.
Thank you for that beautiful.
Single. I'm not dating anybody. I left Dan alone.
She's single right now until he swoops in with his secret dating.
No, no.
Secret dick.
Oh my God. I can't. Wow.
Let's put this together. Come on, professionals. We're professionals.
Lies. Lies. Anyway, so today is our very last episode of our 5-part series for the Bloctober Spooksville Spectacular. It's going to be mostly crazy stories. I got a few. I saved the good ones for today because I got some ridiculous shit. I hope people are turning their lights down, dimming everything out, turn on some candles. Maybe not some candles. It might like conjure up something. Maybe not.
Yeah, I was like, bitch, what are you trying to do?
Well, because me and D
sacrifice the virgin, get your candles going.
Hold on, like D and I were on earlier, and his door was like moving already. Like
yeah.
See,
Black Jesus, protect us tonight.
Man, I rebuke all of this. Anything that is not of God, do not be in my house.
Come on now, preach.
Just saying.
Don't be in my house. Don't be in my dreams. I want my sleep. Don't be in my dreams.
I don't even know if these help though. Like my horns. These are my everyday. What did you call it? My Tuesday wear. Tuesday.
You finna have some wild thoughts.
Wow.
And then my little one isn't even scared of my shit anymore. She was like, "Mommy, what did you do? Did you change your eyes?" She thought I took him out and put new eyes in.
Damn, Heather.
I was like, no, these are eye costumes.
Heather, I've seen you do some things.
Well, for those of you who are listening, I'm wearing contacts that are like lizard snake eyes. I don't know.
For those of you that are listening and have listened all month, CJ just admitted she's a skinwalker. That's what just
First of all, no. Thanks, sir. Look, he got me a cup of ice.
That's what witches call nowadays, but it's really
yes.
a cauldron of a virgin's blood.
Instead of a cauldron, we're like 2019 bitches.
Yeah, exactly. We're updated and we're eco-friendly now. So
back to nature. Back to
how
Anyways, I don't know. Does anybody want to start off with stories or facts or anything?
I think Brandy should start off with the facts.
No, let's start with some facts.
Facts. I don't have my shit together. Facts.
Oh.
It was on my phone with those fun Halloween facts, but I don't have the two phones like Demetrius is saying I should have because I'm not a drug dealer, so there's no need to have two phones. So there's that. I have probably 3 really crazy stories, all demonic presence-y related.
Wonderful.
Oh wow.
Wonderful.
Right? They're quick though, because I definitely want to hear this possession story CJ's got.
Yeah. That's my last one.
One was with someone I used to be with. I think, 2 of these stories are both him. One of them I already went into earlier in the month we were talking.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us about the other one.
The other one was one night and it was the day after I was doing my own sew-in, because I lived in Omaha, Nebraska. You doing your own hair as a black
girl. Girl, do you know how long it took me to find a lady who could do my hair? By the way, her name was Miss Betty Brown. What's up, Miss Betty Brown? If you're watching.
Miss Betty Brown. Sound like
you know what? But she was old school. She had to bump my hair at the end. She had to bump it.
Oh, God, not the bump. Like, what the fuck is the straightening?
She had to be in her 60s already, but she was sweet.
Bump it up.
Oh my God. Anyway, my bad.
So, the day, shut up, D. Probably like a couple of days after, I knew something was going on in the house. Not something that was going to stay in the house, but something that was attached to who I was with. And I saw outlines of things. So I'm like, okay, something's going to happen, but I just didn't know what.
Right.
And I was
outlines like how? Like what kind of
outlines of figures and faces. This was an angry man outline. I knew that. Or an angry man entity.
So when you say he was angry, is it something that you felt?
No, scout. I could see the face this time.
Oh, I get it.
Sometimes I'll see outline. This was probably the first time outside of seeing what I saw out my window in Okinawa that I told you about, when I knew it was like that figure. This was the first time I had seen a face, and just like really angry. Like, if you remember, I don't know if it was Ghostbusters 1 or 2, and I apologize for my blasphemy, but I remember the painting in one of those Ghostbusters movies, and the guy's face just was all scowled. You know, he was scowling. Yeah. And this guy was like all angry forehead. So I was like, what the fuck? And he just like walked behind me, but was kind of eye contact. And it was one of those things where it's like, you see me and I see you, but what you gonna do? Right. And that was probably the first time too that I saw.
You looking at me and I'm looking at you like, what?
I hate you, dude.
So I hate him. And I remember that was also the first time where I noticed something, and I was so used to seeing stuff, I just ignored it. I was like, I just need to finish my sew-in. Right. My arms hurt, my neck hurt. I don't care. My son's not here. It was definitely a hardcore black girl moment. Like, my hair is getting done before I do.
Girl,
I've got to finish my sew-in.
Yeah, you do what you want. Because I was in the house by myself, so I'm like, ain't shit you can do. It'd be different if my kid was here or something like that. I was like, I don't fucking care. Now, I did not know this until later. At the time, his friend was on heavy drugs. Like, he was doing coke and a lot of hardcore shit. And I always believe when you are doing those things, whether you believe you're opening up a portal or not, you are becoming a vessel, and there's a certain energy you're carrying around. Absolutely. When you're self-medicating that hard with all that shit. Everybody that I know that has ever done any hardcore drugs, they talk about seeing demons. They talk about stuff following them. You good, D?
No. I'm not. Go ahead. Just keep talking. We'll act like that.
Like Jesus got it. So, and there's this huge spider in like the corner of me.
Just looking at you.
Like staring right at me.
I'm dead.
So, anyway. So, long story short with that, wasn't really bothered. It was going to be whatever. A couple of days after that, I remember him being upset about something. I was used to him being upset. I was dealing with the violence and stuff with him. So it was kind of like, whatever. And I will never forget that night. It wasn't like his pupils dilated or whatever, how people can explain that away with science because somebody's eyes will get darker. This was like dark, and then the outside was dark gray. Like, his eyes changed because he was this close to my face. Wow. And it was a split, because he went from being like, oh, I'm gonna draw you a bath and I'm gonna do this because he was trying to be nice to me to get his way with something or other. Right. And then he said he was going to kill me that night. Said he was going to choke me and drown me in the bathtub, which I had been choked before. And I just couldn't even. Yeah. It was really crazy. And at the time, PJ wasn't there again because he was staying with I always have him away from the house around the time I knew I was trying to split off from that. Because it's one thing when you're dealing with whatever else you're dealing with in a relationship. It's another thing when you see this shit manifest.
Yeah.
When it manifests from that place of evil, somebody has to die at that point. Like, it's looking to kill someone or something.
That's so crazy.
What is going on?
What's the sound?
Hey, could you turn? You could pick up this.
we can pick up all the sounds, guys.
I was just going to say, is that the music that the demons
That was
and
so
demons have come
creepy,
in on?
Like
His demons are trained as fuck.
That was like Insidious. Like, you know how they have that creepy toot, like.
Yeah.
Shut up, because I literally had just had that up on the TV. I was like, oh yeah, we never finished watching this for BJ's party, child.
That was like Insidious music. Please
I was
stop.
like,
Demetrius, your house is a mess. Stop it.
Demetrius got some ghetto ass ghosts.
Ghetto ass ghosts.
That boo nigga ass.
Anywho.
But, yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
He said he's gonna kill me. And I remember praying. I remember getting this oil that somebody else had put me on, and I had never believed in, this special oil anointed in Jerusalem or whatever will do A, B, and C.
Right.
Now I definitely believe in some supercharged shit.
Yeah.
For sure, because I'm alive because of that. But that was very hard to deal with, because at that point, it went from not killing me to trying to get him to do something to himself. So it would be things like trying to cut himself in front of me. Like if you've ever seen somebody's face like shift, and I'm not talking about just with regular expressions, I'm talking about anytime you watch those scary movies and somebody has a demonic presence in them, and it seems like their posture is different.
Oh yeah, I'm about to tell you one of them stories.
Oh yeah, me too.
Shit really changed them. So that had me tripping, but yeah, that happened a lot. So very blessed to happen to be alive, because there were a lot of situations that happened, but that one I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this one.
That's crazy, dude.
Like, thank God I put stuff certain places on purpose. So I knew what to grab where. Like I would have knives certain places. I would have the iron, because I knew I could, like, that's a melee weapon. I would have the iron certain places, because he would do crazy shit.
Girl,
shit that was just
I can't
beyond
imagine.
like regular stuff. It was just no other way to describe it. It was definitely demonic. This was beyond domestic violence and this, that, and other. When you actually see shit before something happens, when you see an entity before something's about to happen to you, that's some real shit. And I'm like, there's no way people can believe in God and angels and all the rest of the stuff and not believe in anything.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always a balance in anything that happens. So if there's good, there's got to be evil.
Always. And then I remember being a part of a deliverance team in church, and I would like care, but then not care, because I had so much other shit going on. And this was after I had like split from the ex and stuff. So I was trying to figure out my own shit. I just didn't have time for somebody else's. Right. But because I was so unbothered, because I've been seeing stuff since I was like 12.
Right.
They would want me around for this stuff because everybody else would be scared.
Right.
So they were like, you need to go pick up so-and-so because he's talking about killing himself and this, that, and other. I'm like, I don't want to fucking deal with this shit. They're like, he's talking to himself. His mom's worried. And I was like, so you gonna have me pick him up?
That's crazy.
What's crazy is I'll never forget when we got in my car. I said, look, if you change or switch up in this car, I'll kill us both. I will swerve this car and you'll get your wits. Like, I'm not playing.
Run this motherfucker off.
Listen, okay?
Wow.
So we make it back to the church, and there's only 4 of us for this. 3. 5 including him. And when the eldest, because she works with, in the sense of like, you would like her a lot, CJ, because she don't be playing about her herbs and the Bible and her oils and her numbers on stuff. Like she does not play. So she started basically reading what's been going on with him, and they don't even have a relationship like that. So we was hearing stuff we had no clue about. We're like, what? And she's like, and this is what's happened. So then she starts calling out names that we're not familiar with, but she says she sees the spirits. So she starts calling them by their names, which is also like a biblical thing. And then you hear about other stuff too. Yeah. So she starts calling names. When I tell you, this nigga started contorting. 2 people was holding him down, 2 at the arms and 2 at the legs. I was stepping back because I ain't seen no shit like that. I seen stuff, but I ain't see that. Then old girl, she starts to go for the oil, because this is a longer story, but I'm consolidating it. She goes for the oil, and they lifted up his shirt, because he was all, and you should have seen his eyes when he saw her going for this oil. I ain't never seen no shit like that. He starts freaking out and like still on his back, but like doing this backwards kind of back swim, crawl, like trying to get out the door. It was you know how people do crab walks?
Yes.
It was like that, but
oh God.
And I was like, and he was like moving. Like, cause you do a crab walk right now, you'll probably be like, I'm a little out of shape, nigga. Ain't no crab walk forward, let alone backward. This nigga was gone. I was like, what the fuck? So we grab him before he can get to the door, because all we're thinking at this moment is whatever's happening, we have to get this done here, because if he goes out, he's gonna hurt himself or somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I guess if you don't do that type of shit right, again, we're not experts, I'm not a demonologist, none of that shit. Just know that it's serious. But I'm like, if we don't take care of this now and really make sure shit is gone and banished, all it's gonna do is hop to another vessel.
Oh, of course. I was just gonna say that if he got out, he would have just hopped, because y'all would have got back to him, and he would have been like, "What's up?"
And because we believe that Hollywood definitely be telling on themselves. I think there's a movie with Denzel Washington called like Fallen or something like that.
Yes.
And people are touching each other.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I watched that movie one time when I was younger, never again, because that shit scared the shit out of me. And I believe in that. So anyway, that took probably about like 4 hours, because I remember the next day we were all so sore. Like we had done like full body workout, typo, all that shit from having to deal with it. And then what makes this even crazier, this nigga was a little nigga. He wasn't a big guy. He was skinny. He was like, I felt like, you know, if I needed to take you, I could take you. But whatever was in him, or many things that were in him, because it was definitely a Legion thing, that's from home deep, man. It ran deep, and I knew he had issues with alcohol and drugs and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I feel like what these things try to do is just isolate you and just keep you down that hole. And then when you have people around you that are saying, oh, we're there for you, we care for you, by then you don't know what's real and what's not for you, because you're just trying to find an escape. So it's like, why not kill myself? I got these things in my head telling me to do it. And the people that I'm around, you're immediately angry and trying to fight us and turned off by us, but it's not you. It's that spirit that's in you fighting against us. But yeah, that's not fuck that. That shit was crazy. And I will say this is the last deliverance I have been a part of. The place I'm at right now, she had the lady that runs children's church, because I said, I'll do that. She was like, I feel like you have other gifts in you. I'm like, I feel like you need to mind your goddamn business.
Right. So basically, Brandy don't like the truth being told to her face. Basically, I hear that a lot.
CJ knows. I'm like, I'm good. I'm not saying that you lying. I'm saying I just am not ready to deal with that stuff again. It's a lot. It's a lot to see. It's a lot to almost act like you didn't see. Not that I'm trying to suppress it, but I'm trying to not let it overtake me to where I can live a normal life.
Well, yeah, because it's not it's not something that you think that you're gonna come across in your life, really.
Ever.
It's not.
Ever.
That's crazy. That is insane.
Really, I'll never forget how he crawled out. I was like,
I just imagined it in my head, and it just grossed me out. I was like, oh. I'm a visual person.
The way his body would like bow up off the floor.
Oh God, no ma'am.
Baby.
No ma'am.
Like screaming. Like you could see, like it wasn't like a lot of smoke, but you ever have like it was almost like the shit was evaporating on his chest. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Because it's one thing when you know you believe stuff and you've seen stuff. Right. But then when you see some shit you ain't never seen, you're almost like, is this really happening? Yes. And you want to rationalize it. You want to be like, all right, maybe when your body is so hot because you're so upset and your emotions are running so high, this happened. Because they do say your face gets hotter and stuff when you're angry or emotional. Right. Try and rationalize it. I'm like, there's no rationalizing it. No oil should sizzle off you like you fucking chicken.
Not chicken. Not chicken.
It shouldn't happen like that. So it was definitely intense. But that was after that, I was like, I'm done. I am not doing this shit again. I'm not. I'm like, don't ask me to pick up nobody else.
Oh no, nope. I won't do it. It's not part of my portfolio. My horns keep slipping.
It's not my resume.
I'm just gonna take this off.
Those are my little crazy stories, and I've been away from that shit ever since. I have not seen anything in years. Praise God.
Yeah, for real.
I've been very happy with that.
Do you? I'm not doing any of that.
Hell no.
Hell no. I'm not doing any of that.
Did you want to go first, or?
Sure. I'll talk about mine.
We'll do a story at a time. That way we can go
one
around.
at a time.
Yeah.
So mine was on the back patio of my grandmother's house. This took place, I want to say, around 2000 and maybe 2010. And it was a sibling of mine.
Okay.
Not a sibling that either you two have met. Is a sibling that was here in Vegas.
Okay.
That never came to Okinawa. But he's younger than me. Me and him were just, talking mess to each other. Like
Hold on.
do.
Your mic is doing something weird. I don't know if it's like hitting the collar or... No? What is that sound? It's always D with the sounds.
I'm sure it's literally always D.
Every time you talk. So that's why I was asking if your things were plugged in all the way.
No, D, it's just your voice. And she's like, what's that sound?
What's that annoying sound?
What is that annoying sound?
You don't hear that, Brandy? You know what I'm talking. It's like a scratchy sound. Oh, I'm tripping. Go ahead.
Okay, well, so it's that scratchy, annoying sound.
Is that my voice?
My voice. I hate you. I hate all of y'all. I can't.
No. So we're sitting on the back. Oh wait, I heard that too.
Okay.
That's weird.
You see what I mean?
You're not tripping.
Okay.
But yeah, we're sitting on the back patio, talking mess to each other, and he was like, he pushed me and I pushed him back, and it was just like a tussle, all fun. And then he kind of sat to himself for a second, and he started crying. And I was like, "Are you good?"
Yeah.
And then when he looked up at me, he smiled.
What?
Smiled, the creepiest fucking smile I've ever seen.
Ew.
Yeah, he smiled, and he still had tears pouring down his eyes, but he kept smiling. Then it got to the point where I didn't recognize his fucking face anymore.
Oh, these
and
face
I was
things.
like,
what was the smile? Did the smile get like really wide, like up, like?
Yeah, it got really teethy, like very, very teethy. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then I started. So my cousin was in the backyard with us. It was three of us. It was me, my brother, and then I had a cousin. And where the hell Brandy go?
I don't know. She'll be right back. She'll be right back.
Okay. So yeah, it's me, my brother, and my cousin. So we're all in the back, we're all talking, and this happens, and I'm like, what the fuck? So my cousin's telling me I'm starting to talk shit because I'm so freaked out by this point. My memory of this time is kind of foggy, but I do remember being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? My cousin was like, I went the fuck off. Like I was tripping.
Oh, because you got scared.
Yeah. I guess I got, I was tripping like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Then he started laughing. Smile turned into a laugh.
Oh.
When he laughed, it wasn't his voice.
Oh, that just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, was not his voice. I was like, what the fuck? And then he started talking. He wasn't, it's like he was mumbling.
What did he say?
Really low. I don't know what he was saying. It was really low.
Ew,
really
that's even worse.
And then I got
DJ,
mad.
quit trying to conjure up shit. What did he say? Shut up.
Tell me what he said. Verbatim.
Let me write it down.
I'm so done.
No, but yeah, he started like mumbling. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'm pissed off at this point. Because I realized what's going on. I'm like, fuck. And I don't know how to stop this. Like, where do I start? Who do I call? What do I do? I don't know. So I'm walking around the house like, fuck, like looking for anything, like a Bible, some water. I was like, how the fuck do you make holy water? Like me and my cousin.
Not how do you make holy water.
Like we gotta pull up a YouTube tutorial to see how to make holy water.
Not YouTube. I hate y'all. Oh my God.
No, we're freaking out. I remember I went back to the back where he was. He's still sitting there looking hella weird. I just started saying the Lord's Prayer over and over and over again. Then he started talking shit to where I can understand it. And it was all the shit was to break me down. Like, yeah, you ain't shit. And it got real fucking personal, like insecurity personal. And I was like, what the fuck? So then I start tripping back.
Right.
But it's not, I'm not tripping with my brother. I'm tripping with something else.
Right.
It was real fucking personal and real fucking weird. And then eventually it broke. Because I just stopped talking shit. I kept praying. And when it broke, it's like you could feel it. Like a lift.
Oh God.
And then my brother started crying again. Like crying, bawling his eyes out. Then he went in the bed and laid down. Then he came back and gave me a kiss on the cheek and said he was sorry. And he was like maybe 13 years old when this shit happened.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what the fuck? I was like 20.
Oh no.
I was like, what the fuck? So then my cousin is trying to rationalize shit. Oh, he's just being stupid. Yeah,
but
he's just
at
being stupid.
13,
I'm
if he
gonna
was
smoke a
saying,
cigarette. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. I'll be right back. I was like, yeah, because you need to figure out what the fuck just happened too. So he's trying to rationalize the shit. He needs to step away because the whole time he's sitting there looking at me like, what do we do? I'm looking at him. We're looking at each other like, what the fuck is going on?
No, ma'am. No,
shit
ma'am.
was nuts.
No, ma'am.
The shit was wild.
People getting possessed and such is like crazy. I'm still gonna leave that till the very end of this episode because it's a good one.
Yeah, I don't value my sleep. That's fine.
But so, I'm trying to figure out which one to go with. Y'all, this is like insane, right? Like I crossed off the ones that I told already, but I have like a shit. Like I didn't realize how many stories, and that's not even all. Like I don't even know where to start. But
that's crazy.
But should I go with the easy, short, sweet one real quick?
Sure.
So when I lived in San Antonio, I lived in this apartment with my girl Jay. Dee knows who that is.
Oh yeah,
Brandy does too. I'm just not gonna say her name right now.
Hey Jay.
Well, because Dee lived in that apartment for a minute too. Like
I'm trying to think, like who?
She was my bestie. And yeah. So we had an apartment together. Well,
she's the real Ginger Spice.
Yeah. I'm done. Don't say it.
The original.
I'm done. But so we living in this place. First of all, so backstory of this apartment I found out later was that the people next door that used to live, because I lived upstairs on the second floor, look at Brandy, next door got murdered accidentally, the whole family, by somebody.
How do you accidentally get murdered?
Because he thought the person that this guy was going after to try to murder actually lived downstairs from
mistaken identity.
Right, it's a mistaken identity. So he was supposed to go downstairs to do it, but he actually went upstairs thinking that they lived up there instead. So this whole family got murdered by mistake. So that's the backstory of our little apartment, and we live next door to that room apparently. So it was already kind of weird in there because like it would be broad daylight. Me and Jen would be sitting watching TV and stuff, and me and Jay were like we were like eating lunch or something, and we heard this loud ass stomp coming out of my room. Just big old just stomp. Like super loud that it almost felt like it shook the room. And we're like, what the fuck was that? I was like, that just came out of my room. Like my room. It was always my room. I don't know what the fuck that was about. I don't know if it was because I was next to that other apartment with the crazy people who got murdered or whatever, but I was like, that's weird. And the other thing was like, whenever I was dating somebody, I think maybe I had maybe 2 or 3 different boyfriends at the time, during the time I was living there, because I was there for a few years. All of them swore if they were laying in bed, like if I was at work and they were just chilling in the apartment, they swore somebody was pulling the covers off of them or trying to pull them off my bed. Remember
hearing about that? Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like I personally never had that happen to me while I was living there. So I used to always joke that maybe, it was like something else that was bothering them, but
a girl ghost that like
right
boys.
Exactly, something. but here's the kicker. Here's how I knew something bad was in there. One day I came home and I heard a lot of buzzing in the apartment, like just bug buzzing, like wings buzzing, a shit ton of it. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm looking around, I went to my room. I don't see any bugs. I'm in the living room and it gets louder. I'm like, it's in the living room, but I don't see anything. And then I go to Jen's room, Jay's room, which is on the other side. I know. The other side. And I was like, I don't hear anything in here. And then I was like, the bathroom maybe? Because Jay had the bathroom that wasn't connected. I had the master bedroom because I lived there mostly. She kind of was like on and off with her boyfriend, coming in and out, like at his place or her place. So I was like, well, it's not that. It's not the kitchen. And so I go to open the blinds to my patio area upstairs, and the window is just covered in flies. Just big ass horse flies. Have you guys seen Constantine?
I've seen it.
Okay, you know the scene with the bowling alley, the guy with the flies?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say the entity's
the name. Please don't.
I'm not gonna say the name, so please don't say it.
Creep me out.
Starts with a B.
With a B, yeah.
Yep.
Why y'all even have to go that far? Y'all fucking playing.
So that people can look it up, because if
it's a demon named Brandy. Her name is Brandy. She's sitting right there. No,
I immediately knew what it was. Like, I knew it had passed through somehow. I'm giving myself goosebumps. And went out that window and left behind
Demetrius.
What?
CJ's gone.
Huh?
What?
CJ's gone.
No, my connection. My connection. Oh my god.
Oh my god. I told you dumbasses not to be even saying letters. Y'all think it's a fucking game.
If you guys are listening, I froze, so I'm gonna go back and see if I was talking, but just to be sure, what I was saying is I knew that entity had been in our vicinity and probably left out the window and left behind all the bugs for us. So I had to stay calm, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum. I vacuumed hundreds of horseflies from
horseflies.
Horseflies.
Like, they don't even like being inside. Listen, they're like the outside one.
So here's the thing: it wasn't regular sized houseflies. They were like big ones, like big ones. That's how I know.
The ones that bite, those bite too.
I guess so. I don't know, but I knew they were like the huge ones. So that's why I'm assuming they were the horseflies.
For her to even say that she heard the buzzing, I always think about huge ass flies, because them small house flies, you don't hear the buzzing a lot of time unless they're close by your ear, and even then it's faint. But them big motherfuckers, I've heard, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
Listen, what I need to know is why there was hundreds of them on the window, just plastered. And I was like, I mean, I was, I cleaned it up, and I was like, do I want to tell Jay about it? Because she gets scared easily. But I did. She was like, oh, hell no. I mean, thankfully, a little while after that, I moved into my new home who had a lady in white in it. But, that's a whole other story.
Another one.
No. Common denominator is things keep following the Halloween baby.
No, I just think I have, like, just little...
You got your Google goggles all the time.
You
can see them all.
It just makes sense that she has hers probably more than the average bear because she's born on Halloween.
It's just I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with that. Possibly.
Not maybe. It does. I said what I said.
Like, you know what, though? It all started when I was 2 years old, according to my mom. Because, where I used to live out Gate 1 from Kadena and Snabet. Oh, my God.
Snabet.
So that house, when we first moved into my mom said the first 6 months, I would tell her that there was a guy by the refrigerator watching us. and my mom was like totally in agreement, because she was like, I feel somebody in the house. And like after about 6 months, she said I stopped talking about him, and she felt like he went away. So I don't know if it was like my grandpa just watching over us because we were moving. Because she said I wasn't scared, and she wasn't scared either. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you had that experience with her, because from what I've heard, or from what I always you see on TV and movies too, it's like the kids are never believed at first.
Oh yeah. Well, Okinawa's a whole nother place, so.
Yeah, I'm like, man, let my kids say I saw this or experienced that, or let my dog or something be going fucking crazy at something in the corner of the room. I'm believing, but like, why would they make it up? You know what I mean?
I'm fortunate enough to where I grew up in a household where a lot of people saw shit.
Yeah, see, me too. Like
all the time. So
I mean, eventually, like nobody told me that like my grandmother was a priestess till I found that weird psychic lady that emailed me on like MySpace or some shit. But
that's really cool, by the way, because that means like it's in your bloodline. All this shit that you're experiencing and seeing.
Fuck that.
It's your destiny.
Up until middle school, I used to see a lot more shadows and things flying out of the corner of my eyes, and I really try to ask for it to stop. So I kind of stopped in high school, and then it kind of came back when I moved to the States. is when it came back. It was really weird. I don't know if it was like for my own protection, maybe because I was out on my own, like, and nobody
That's a
else
good way
around.
to think of it, because really ever since I've moved here to Cleveland,
Yeah,
I've experienced like crazy paranormal shit everywhere else but here, which I'm very happy about. And then the one thing I did experience, I forgot to tell you this, CJ.
What?
This happened last week.
Oh, well, it's your turn for a story, so go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to, because I was done with stories. I just thought about it. I was sitting down in my living room, and I was just kind of slumped over because I just working all these jobs. I had just been falling asleep like crazy.
Right.
So I fell asleep, and I fell asleep in a position that I normally never fall asleep in. My legs are straight, my arms are like this, and I'm just like, slumped over, and then, before I know it, I'm doing the full, old man thing. And I felt, but I think what I did was I was just like, no way, because it's been years since I've had something happen, so I was like, ain't shit here. I felt like arms around me, and not like, listen, no, it's gonna sound weird because it wasn't like in an attacking way, like something like holding me, like hugging me.
Why are you laughing?
I sound fucking crazy.
I don't think it's crazy.
I know you guys don't, but I'm just
Will you hold me, Q? Will you hold me?
Will you hold me? Can you hold me, Mr. Ghost?
I want you to hold me.
I'm dead.
It's been a minute, and I don't know what that was about. Now that I think about it, I think I brushed it off because I was like in and out of sleep, and I was like, no way. And you know how you like give someone like a hug, and you kind of do that like extra squeeze, and then you release or whatever. After I felt like it was going to get tighter, it was like done. But I just sat there, and I was like, I gotta be bugging because it's been years since I've experienced anything, and I'm just tired. Like, I'm just tired. So let me just go to sleep.
Could be. I mean,
I was like, maybe it was like the weight of my own arms since I had them like this the whole time.
It was a relative giving you a hug. That's a good way to think.
You know, I be thinking about different shit like that too. Ever since I had that experience with my grandma and my grandpa, I seen my grandma in the dream, and I never remember dreams or dream like that. So to see her in a dream and basically getting closure that way when she died, because that like really bothered me because we were making plans and everything, and then gone, and I had never experienced stuff like that. So years later, I had finally had a dream, and in the dream we were doing all the stuff that we said we were gonna do, and oh my god, and like getting our nails done and all this stuff. Yeah, and I got to say my goodbyes and stuff like that. So I woke up like crying, not like sad, but just like that was nice because I got it somehow, because that really bothered me.
Yeah.
And maybe God knew how much that bothered me, and I guess I just had to be patient and get some type of closure with it, because that just didn't sit right with me. But it could be because I'm like, nobody, as far as I know, passed recently, so I don't know who or what that was. I actually thought about maybe somebody that used to live here, because this is a really old building.
Right.
This apartment we're living in, been here since like 1960 something or early 70s.
Oh yeah, that's
so even how it's laid out, everything's very small in sizing, so you can tell, okay, this is old school. And then a lot of people that live here now, demographic wise, I heard it was the same thing back then, because my mom will make fun of me for living in a retirement community, because everyone's older.
That's so funny.
They even have Wednesday night bingo in the recreation room.
No,
so
they don't.
Like 80% of the people here are older. There's not kids.
So maybe they were like, even if it was somebody passing through, they were like, oh, look at that little one.
I thought so. I was like, what if this was like a grandma or somebody that used to like live here and it's like, just take care of my place? Because I ain't gonna lie, when I first found out how old the building was, I was like, I'm going to pray. I'm going to do my little oil thing. I got my little, my thing I do. I don't play around old buildings or places that I know you broke ground somewhere where some shit went down.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not playing about.
Well, shit, that's all of America now. They done took it.
Right, while you playing. But some are more hot spots than others.
That's true.
I heard about places in New Orleans, and I was very particular about where our Airbnb was, where I was eating, all this shit. I didn't let the girls know that because I didn't want to freak them out too much.
Right.
But when they let me plan it, I was strategic as fuck, because I said what's not going to happen is shit's going to follow me home. Not when you're known you're prone to see shit. I almost think these things are kind of like, hey, well, you know what I mean? Like,
my grandmother used to say, if they know that you know, then they know that you can be told stuff. So, Look at Brandy. Look, Brandy says, "Shut up."
I'm looking at D.
Look at D. I'm just saying. I mean, that's why it's better if you don't want it in your life, then it's better to like just ignore it when it happens and brush it off, because the more you brush it off, the less you'll experience over time. Like True. You really do. The less you care about what's happening, the less they'll come around, because they're like, well, shit. If it's a bad entity, they're not getting the negative energy it needs to survive.
That they need, right?
Yeah, so it's not coming. Even if it's a good entity, like they're gonna be like, you're not doing anything to tell anybody what happened to me, so I'm not gonna come bother you no more. Like, it's better to do that if you don't feel like, messing with it.
Yeah, basically, I was like, I don't want this to happen again. So it's like, I appreciate whatever just happened, because maybe I just needed a hug. I don't know. Maybe God was sending an angel to hug me. Could have been Gabriel, some shit. I don't fucking know.
I'm saying.
But what I do know is I'm good.
Everybody got an angel, or a few sometimes. So anyway, D, you got another story?
Another story. Oh, so speaking of Oki, you're talking about Tsunabe and how your house was. My house. My whole neighborhood was fucked up. So I remember having issues. Well, when I lived in Mizugama, that was a whole other issue with the lady in white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we talk about that? The lady in white?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. So after we left Mizugama, we moved to the base. So technically that part of the base would be like Koza, I guess.
Yeah, Koza.
Yeah.
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah, very close to it. So it was Civil Manor. And we lived on top of a bluff. Mm-hmm. And it was like a cul-de-sac. So you drove in, cul-de-sac, and at the end of the cul-de-sac, instead of it being houses on this side, there were no houses, it was just a fence. Mm-hmm. But if you walked up to this fence, it dropped. And at the bottom of this drop was Sterling Heights Elementary School.
Yeah.
It was a big soccer field at the bottom, and then playground and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. So I remember coming out the house to take like the trash out or whatever I needed to come out the house for at night specifically. And I had a hard time going outside because I would see these little white dots and these little blue dots. Mm-hmm.
Were they like,
was that?
Like just floating?
Flying, like fast, really fast, whenever I would see them outside. So I opened the door, I would see more white than blue, but it would be mixed. And I'd open the door and be like, what the fuck? And have to close it and have to ease my way outside because I knew I couldn't tell anybody, like, what the heck, like, what's going on.
By the way, like, if you're not from Oki, we do not have fireflies just flying around. So it's not that. Fireflies were only by waterfalls, maybe. This is a subtropical island. It's hard to live there. But anyway, move on. Go on.
Yeah. So I would have to open the door and then shut it and then slowly come outside just to acclimate myself with what the hell was going on. Because I know I couldn't tell anybody because I could see them, but I knew other people couldn't, if that makes sense. Like, I know this is something that I can see that everybody can't. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I was going through at the time. And I remember one day I was in the room, and this is like me going into puberty around that time. Yeah. Like I was still going through that phase, so I was still anemic. Mm-hmm. So by the time I became an adult, my anemia completely went away. But at this point, I used to love to sit on my bed and I would crave ice all the time. So I used to eat like a whole bowl of ice. I would get a bowl of crushed ice and I would put a blanket over my head and I would eat a whole bowl.
Wow.
That's what anemic people do. I don't know why. So I had a blanket because I would always be cold and I would just be sitting there eating ice and watching TV in my room. And then I remember out the corner of my eye, through the window, I see a blue, bright light coming on my left side.
Come into your room?
Come into the room through the window.
Oh, hell no.
And I was like, I see it out my peripheral, but I'm still looking at TV and I was watching Jackass. I remember. I'm watching Jackass and I'm like, okay, this is all in my head. This is all in your head, D. It's all in your head. So it's coming in and it's getting closer and closer to my face. And then the more I try to like psych myself out to tell myself that it's not really, it's getting closer. Then it starts doing this.
In front of you?
In front of me.
It starts circling in front of you?
Like this. Like, nah,
oh, no.
type shit. I jump the fuck up. I run out the room, stub my toe on the door, trying to get out, run downstairs. And I'm home alone. I run downstairs and I sit on the couch and I turn on the TV down there. I'm just like, fuck it, I'm staying down here. Got to the point where I got so paranoid, I was just outside in the backyard, just like, shit.
Man.
Yeah, shit was nuts. So I didn't sleep in my room for the next 3 nights. That shit was nuts. And then I'm telling myself, like,
I wouldn't either.
I'm telling myself, okay, this is probably just me. I'm just going crazy. I'm a schizo. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Until I heard Brandy, me and your friend, R.
Okay.
Last initial L.
Yeah.
I overhear her talking to somebody else about another person who lived on the end of my street. And I guess she was having a birthday party. And she was like, oh yeah, I want to go, but I don't know if I don't like that neighborhood. And someone asked her, well, what's so weird about the neighborhood? She's like, every time I go there, I see these like little blue and white lights and it freaks me out. And I was like, you see what? You see what? And I like grabbed her. I was like, why do you say, tell me what you see? She's like,
hold her down. But you still have the blanket on over your head from the ice and everything.
And I have a bucket of ice. Like, why do you say?
And you have the ice, and the ice is shaking everywhere.
I'm so done. Yeah.
But no, I was like, do you really see that? She's like, yeah, every time I go there. But people, of course, she felt weird talking about it. I was like, I've been seeing the same shit. But it felt, the confirmation was just great. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, there's somebody else that sees what I'm seeing, and I'm not crazy. I'm not a schizo like I thought I was. Or maybe I am, but just maybe
Did you ever like look it up and try to figure out? Did you ever look it up or try to figure out what's going on? Or maybe your street was a location of where some shit went down? Like, did you ever?
I'm sure it was.
We should look that up later, you guys.
Know. I'm scared.
I want to know. You don't live there no more. It'll be all right.
Right. No, I think it would help, like, make it make sense. Like, something had to happen on that street or in that area, because there's just no way that you and someone else would have remembered or experienced something like that.
Like that, to where she was like, I don't even like going there because she would see the same shit that I would see. These little lights.
Crazy. That's so
and just
crazy.
To hear her say, like, I see the same thing, I was like, wow. It made me feel a whole lot better.
That's so crazy.
Like I wasn't tripping.
Do some research and figure it out.
No, thank you.
And it was like right around where that tree, would you say, Gajimaru?
Gajimaru. The banyan tree.
Yeah.
No thanks. Yeah, because in Oki they say the Gajimaru tree has spirits in it. Like, it's very close to that Filipino one. I forget the name now. I gotta look it up.
The weird one. And whenever I mention that experience, a lot of people ask me like, oh, well, did a Filipino person tell you about that? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, because in Okinawa they have kijimunas and stuff like that. It's so crazy. Crazy. Oh my God, are you guys ready for this next one? This is a pretty good one. Are you ready for this? This happened in Nebraska. It happened in Nebraska, and it was a shared experience with me and my friend. I'm just gonna call him D.
Me?
Just the letter D. No, not you, Demetrius. Just the letter D, so that I'll try not to say his name. It's a very common name, so it doesn't really matter. But in all my
David,
Nebraska,
Daniel,
it's just Dave. Like I just call him Dave. But and the Nebraska friends all know this story, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. So me and Dave were like really good buddies. We were drinking buddies in Nebraska. He was the one other brown person there in our group, pretty much.
Girl,
he was Mexican. He would take me to like Little Mexico in Nebraska, like in Lincoln, where there's like really good tacos and shit like that. Because there's always one little tiny Mexican part of the city.
Right, one little corner you can get in.
Yeah, always. But anyway, so we were meeting up for the night to go drinking downtown, and that day he had won a DVD at work, and the DVD was, I think it was The Haunting at Connecticut. I think that's the.
I know, I have seen that movie.
Okay, that's the. Isn't that the one with the weird basement?
Is that the one with the ghost that was slapping the shit out of that girl?
No.
And then it turned out the dad or uncle or somebody was abusing people.
No. That's the one with the basement where they used to like cut like spells onto people and shit, and they would conjure up stuff with human bodies, I think. I'm sure, but I'm pretty sure it was The Haunting of Connecticut. And when he was telling me this at the bar, I was like, oh shit, I've been wanting to see that movie because I haven't seen it yet. Like, we should watch it when we go home. Because, you know, when you're young, what you do is you go to the bar and then you go back to your place and you keep drinking because you're off the next day because that's what you do, right?
Right.
20s and whatever. So anyway, so I'm like, let's go back to my apartment. We can keep drinking and watch the movie. So we're drinking, watching the movie. It's creepy as fuck. To the point, which usually never happens. I'm down for creepy movies, y'all. You know, I'm spooktastic, creeptastic. I love Halloween. I wish I could show you all my decor because it is crazy. Like, even
the videos
it's not lit up yet, but that's like my mantle right now. There's a graveyard scene.
It's lit.
Well, you know, but anyway, maybe I'll post it later on our page, on our Instagram page. But anyway, so we go back, we're watching the movie, we drink, and the movie's over, and then we're like, kind of tired. It's already like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, we should get to sleep. I was like, I kind of feel weird tonight. I was like, you know, like, because he sleeps on the couch, you know what I mean? Because we're just friends. So I was like, you can sleep on the couch. I feel like I want to sleep in the living room while you're here. I don't want to, like, sleep in my bedroom tonight. That movie was weird as fuck. So this creeps me out, even just telling it. So I go to sleep, and we were talking, and the lamp was on, and I heard him get up and turn off the lamp because I guess I had kind of fallen asleep while talking, and I just stayed asleep. I was like, whatever. So I hear him get up, turn off the lamp, and it's dark now, and a little bit of time goes by. I don't know how much, but all of a sudden I hear like footsteps by me. So there's like a fireplace, and my head was towards the fireplace. There's a coffee table. On the other side of the coffee table is the couch that Dave was sleeping on, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I hear footsteps from the side of the couch. So I'm like, oh, Dave is probably getting up to go to the bathroom or something. Well, the footsteps get closer towards my head, and it stops maybe like a foot away, I would say.
Your head?
Towards my head, because he has to go around the table and over me to get to the hallway to go to the bathroom, is what I'm thinking logically, right? So I'm like, oh, he stopped. I was like, maybe it's because it's dark, he can't see. Well, the next thing I know, there is heavy breathing.
Like, oh, hell no.
It's like y'all ready? It was like, can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. It was heavy breathing, and then
do it again. One more time.
No, I'm good. I'm totally good.
I hear heavy breathing, and the next thing I know, in my head, I can see 2 blue feet. I know. Oh my God! It's behind me.
Smurfs?
Not Smurf. I hate you so much. I just gave myself goosebumps. I know that they're blue feet behind me. Like bluish, grayish feet behind me.
Like Krishna?
Just blue feet.
She didn't say blue feet, 16 arms.
No. But it's like maybe from right above the ankle below is all I see in my head, right? That's all I hear. So I hear breathing, heavy breathing, and I see feet in my mind's eye. And I was like, fucking shit. And I was like, shit, I'm just going to say the Lord's Prayer. Tell me why it took me like 10, 12 times to start that sentence.
Yo, what the fuck is up with that shit?
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
And you couldn't say, man.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
I'm like,
and I
I
couldn't get the rest out. Do you know how many times I've said that prayer? Like, do you realize that it is? I can roll it off my tongue. It's embedded in my body, and I couldn't. It took me so many tries. I was like, why can't I say it? I can't remember it. It's not because I'm drunk. It's not that I just get, if I'm sober enough at that point to know to say this, I know that I need to say it.
Right.
I couldn't say it. And I was like, God damn it. And then I finally say it all the way through, and it just, all the heavy feeling, the blue feet, the heavy breathing stops and disappears. And I'm like, this was fucked up. I'm never watching that fucking movie again. It's like not okay to watch part 1 or 2 in my household ever. Nobody's allowed to watch it. None of that shit, right? So here, get this. So I don't say nothing to Dave because I'm like, it's my usual shit, like you, Brandy, like you, D. I'm like, I'm just used to all of that, and I'm keeping it to myself. And like, I want to say a couple weekends go by, and we out drinking, and I was like, Dave, I gotta tell you something. So I tell him what happened. You know, nigga, do you know? At the same time this was happening to me, he was like, I was on my couch sleeping in your living room, and I started hearing heavy breathing, and I thought it was me.
No.
So he held his breath to see if he could hear it. And he was like, you were so far away. It wasn't you. It was something else breathing hard over my couch.
Did y'all do research?
Bro.
Hell,
did you do?
Nope.
Did y'all look up what that could have been?
No, I never did. I probably should, but I never did because it never bothered me again. I think that maybe it was like residual shit because of the energy that the movie had. And
I don't be playing about the energy a movie carries. There's some stuff I'm like, I'm not gonna watch this. I don't care what.
I'm a little bit more like, even when I watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I say a few words before I turn it on.
I'll watch that shit.
I keep it off.
At church. We put this shit in the church parking lot.
Man, I was like, dude,
you sell
on my phone.
That shit, I will never forget that blue feet though. Now that I'm talking about it, I can see it again because I've seen it before. And like the fact that you can see shit in your mind's eye is like the craziest thing to me. It really
is nuts.
It is nuts.
Like, it's cool in the sense of if you're helping somebody, it's not when you're being haunted for no reason.
Man. And I was like,
I'd be all like extra hard with like Cardi B, like, what was that reason? Like, why are you here? What is happening?
I mean, the crazy part is like we both went silent for a few weeks before we told each other that happened. And when he told me he heard heavy breathing, I was like, stop. I don't need to hear anything else. I know what was up. Like it was the craziest shit. I'm never watching that movie again, for real. And that wasn't even my worst story. Do you want a quick cute one?
Sure.
This is when I was really young. Like, I want to say maybe late elementary, so maybe 6th grade, maybe even middle school.
I'm still here.
I'm not. Yeah, I know. But I'm not sure of the age. I know that I was much younger than high school. That it wasn't high school, that's for sure. It had to be like 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade, somewhere around that. So I'm either doing my hair or something in the bathroom at my old house in Sinabe. And like, I'm just whatever, doing my hair, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, I feel somebody grab my ankle.
No.
And then I go, Dan, stop it.
Give me the goosebumps.
I said, Dan, stop it. And my brother answers me from the living room. And I look down and I was like, there's nobody there.
No.
I had 3 fingerprints on my ankle for a few days.
No.
Look at me. Yeah, that shit was crazy.
I got one for you, like that.
Look at us.
So
look at us
I
getting
had
in.
a dream. I was in a forest. I had to be 8 years old. I was young. I was in a forest and I was chasing this girl. This girl had long curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he told us how old he was, because I was like, what the hell was you doing in a forest?
I was chasing this girl. Like, I guess we were playing hide and seek or whatever it was. I'm chasing her.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing her. I couldn't catch her. And then she gets to a certain point. I couldn't cross that point. And I was like, what's going on? And she kept running. I was like, wait for me. Where are you going? Wait for me.
Like a barrier?
It was like a barrier. And then she stopped when I was like, wait. And then she turned and she looked. And I remember how she, like, her hair, like, it turned, like, with the wind. It was, like, crazy. Like, she had big-ass hair, and it turned and, like, made the wind blow. And she turned and she looked at me, and then she smiled, and then she, like, jumped. And then she kind of disappeared. And I was like, where'd you go? And I was kind of mad because I wanted to keep playing. And then I woke up from my dream. And when I remember I went to get up that morning to take a shower to go to school. And when I got a shower, I looked at my arm, and I had 3 fingerprints on the inside of my arm, like somebody grabbed me. Or somebody grab your arm like this. So that's when you said you had 3 fingerprints on your ankle. I was like, whoa, that reminded me of what 3 little red ones, little red prints.
I
right here on the inside of my arm.
And that, I just, like, I was thinking about this before, but when I was little, I had weird, terrible night terrors with crazy dreams. Like, I remember one time it was like, I specifically remember this one. It was like a dream that I had. I was in my grandmother's house. I went outside. There was one of those little oaky style water tubs, silver pan things, kind of like the ones they put flowers in and put on the head to go sell down the street. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They used to sell flowers like that, old school Okie peeps.
But the long things?
Not the long ones. It's just that circle tub. You know, even if you go to like little tribal places, people put flowers and stuff and sell it throughout the village and shit like that. But it was one of those tubs just filled with blood, and I just knew that it was my mom's blood, and it was like weird dreams like that. And I had to be like elementary school and shit like that. I don't remember all of it. But I also know for a fact that I was a weird ass child. I don't even know why my parents let me, but like when I was little, kiddos, we still had video rental places.
Yeah.
And I would rent shit. Like I'm talking like I'm in the 3rd, 4th grade. I would rent like Hellraiser and like shit along those lines. Like horror, terror. I used to draw horror. And I think I was just born with all that weird shit to begin with. I don't know. But I just reminded me.
I told you what it was. You were the Halloween baby. You're weird.
I used to be so excited because my dad used to joke with us, like, because all the kids have canines. I don't know if you can see. They have really...
Oh, yeah.
And you have fangs.
Yeah, we have really big fangs. If I put my lips down the right way, it comes through. Like I can close my lips and you can see my teeth. It's really crazy. But my dad used to joke. He was like, your great grandfather was a vampire.
Definitely a fucking witch, Demetrius. I'm glad you said it.
I hate it. Well, my dad is from Louisiana. My dad was from Louisiana. So, you know, and then I'm half
Hoodoo.
Wait a minute. That explains so much. And then your grandma or great grandma, some voodoo priestess bitch.
We ain't nothing but spiritual.
Ain't nothing but a gangsta
party. The ghosts come in, but they listen to that fucking music that was played in Demetrius' play.
I'm done. No, but seriously, that was like a thing for me. And I shit you not, when I was tiny, I used to think that like at some point in my teen years, I was gonna like turn into a vampire or become a witch and have like magical powers and shit like that. It was like the craziest shit.
I mean, well, at least half of that happened.
I mean, kind of. Not the way that I thought it would.
But to mirror off of your night terrors, I used to have day terrors.
Oh, how does that work?
So you're sitting somewhere, minding your own goddamn business, and you get a flash of some bullshit in your fucking head. Like,
we talked about that before.
Yeah.
I have one that won't go away. I don't want to talk about it.
They do recur. They recur until they hit you like a sack of potatoes. And I remember. So do you remember, CJ, when I was telling you about I have this certain friend of mine who saw what I saw?
Yes.
So
I do.
I was and they used to, in my early 20s is when it was like at its peak. I would have them like a couple times a day. I'm like, fuck. It was almost debilitating.
Right.
So it's like I didn't even want to go outside. It was that bad.
That's crazy.
And because it seems like different locations would bring out different ones.
I think the energy.
Visions.
Yeah.
It has to be the energies. It has to be. If you're not in a good, because I wasn't in a good place myself, and then going to places that don't have good energy is, I'm sure, had a lot to do with that.
Doesn't help. Doesn't help.
But
that's for sure.
I was at this particular friend's house, and I had just cooked. I forgot what I made. Something super oaky, like some mapo tofu or like some goya champur or some crazy oaky shit. And I remember I was sitting at the table and I was eating with this friend, and a few of our other friends were there, but they were like in the living room watching TV. It was just me and this other friend eating. And then it happened. I had one of those flashes. And then I was like, I wanted to ask him, but I didn't know how to ask him, like, does this happen to you? So I was like, have you ever, like, you know, had like a vision or like a flash or something crazy? He's like, what, like a dog, like mauling a child? And I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, it happens to me all the time. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's so crazy.
He saw exactly what it hit me like, I want to say 5 seconds prior to me asking him. And when I was trying to articulate the words. Like, how do I ask him this question without sounding crazy? And the fact that he just knew
exactly
what I was talking about. He looked at me. He was like, "What? Like a dog mauling a child?"
That's so crazy.
Like disemboweled. Like when I say like tearing a child to shreds. Like, I don't think you understand how vivid this vision was. It's like, it's quick. It's not even a second, the flash, but it's so vivid what you pick up. This dog or beast, whatever this thing was that looked like a dog, was ripping. There was a little curly-haired white boy or mixed boy. I couldn't tell what he was, but he was light-skinned, curly-haired child.
Right.
But like from the stomach, like ripping his innards out.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what the? And it happened, and he saw the same shit that I saw.
That's so crazy.
And shit, I'm like, why?
Where were you at when that happened?
Where geographically? I was in Texas, in San Antonio. And I asked this individual, I was like, what the fuck is that all about? He's like, that's the devil's way of fucking with you. That's, well, he didn't use the term devil. He used the term adversary.
Yeah, same thing.
He's like, that's the adversary's way of fucking with your mind, fucking with you, because he knows what you're capable of. That's the way to keep you down. He's like, just don't.
Yeah, you just
gotta
can't pay attention.
Like,
yeah, there's rules that you can play by that you beat this demonic system. I think that's probably why it's better to call him an adversary, because at least in that type of mindset, you know, okay, there's ways that I can handle this to where you won't be a problem. There's ways to get rid of you.
Yeah. It's really weird. Once you get used to all of that, isn't it weird how like they still try, but then you laugh it off and they kind of retreat faster than they used to? Like,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't relate.
I can't relate.
But yeah, with those same visions, I haven't had one in I don't want to say a while, but the frequency is significantly less than what it was before.
That's so
significantly less, because it went from multiple times a day to maybe a few times a month, and that's significant for me.
Man, that's You
know what I'd like to do? I'd like to start like a page in my scrapbooking that's just like a family tree, but it's a family tree of who was able to see what.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like doing a family tree, but it's like, all right, great grandma was a priestess in Louisiana, whatever. So naturally, this went to this person. My mom sees this, but my sister sees this. You know what I mean? Just to see what you're.
They have something like that.
They have to, because I just.
Randy, they call those covens.
You know what?
Right. We look up DJ shit, and it's all.
But you know what that would do, though? For the generations coming forward, it would make it so much easier for young people who experience stuff like that to actually come out and say something.
Yep.
Because a lot of times they try to science themselves out of it. They're like, oh no, this has to be.
It's like, I remember
you know what I mean?
That girl, Michelle, now she is working as a spiritual counselor in Okie.
That's good.
She actually, if you look at it, I'll send you guys the link.
Because everybody has a story about her.
It was crazy. Yeah. I've seen her
rock your body.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
I've seen Michelle in action, and I've heard her stories. We've talked about stuff because at first, before she started doing this as a job, I hate both of y'all. These
sorry.
Thriller moves into the camera, and I'm trying to talk.
It's Backstreet.
Backstreet Boys. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, we're back again.
Oh my God. Isn't that the one where they're dressed like Halloweenies?
Yes. And they came back. They was like, fuck you hoes. You left us for instinct. We back.
Wanna bring the flavor, show the high.
Uh-oh.
Got a question for you, but
why do you know all the words though?
Am I the only one?
Oh my God, I used to dance so hard to them in the living room.
Yeah. Am I everything
you need? You better rock your body.
Oh my God. And now I have to put a disclaimer on this video again. God.
We were off key, so it doesn't count.
It don't matter. We were staying all over the place anyway.
Off key. I hate y'all.
Go ahead.
What was I can't even remember.
You're talking about Michelle.
Oh, Michelle.
Why can't they have ghosts that do that? Like a ghost can come in here and I have background dancers and singers for my musical.
I hate you.
I'll be like, take your ass back to where the fuck you came from with your non-rhythm having ass. You ain't got no backup dancers.
That's what the music was.
That
was the music was for earlier, D. They was trying to try out for your boy. Right. You was like bullshit.
I'm done.
So you whack ass ghost. You ain't got no backdrop. You ain't got no money.
No backdrop.
Your 8 counts floppy.
Can't afford no backdrop.
Better tell your Earth family to burn some money so you can have some shit.
Right, your family ain't burn no money for you, nothing. Man. You don't come from nothing. You ain't gonna be nothing.
Man, no, you ain't come from nothing. You ain't gonna be nothing.
Why do we get so hood all of a sudden? What is this?
I don't know. I think we all have people that are from like some hood ass places. First
of all. There's a section of Spottsville's in Compton. Just so y'all.
Listen, I knew you had some gangster shit in your
Crazy motherfucker named straight out of Compton. Crazy motherfucker named Spottsville.
Named Spooksville.
I hate y'all.
All right. So
anyways, so Michelle, like, so now she's doing spiritual counseling. People like CEOs of certain companies. I think I guess I could say it because she's posted it from like Avex in mainland Japan.
Mm-hmm.
These
niggas is laughing. I can't take it.
I can't look at Demetrius. I can't look at him. I'm sorry.
Demetrius, shut your face down. I need you to shut your face down.
It's his face. It's stupid.
Y'all are off task forever. This is episode like 16. Y'all ain't never gonna learn.
Yo, what's crazy about you saying that before we started recording, we're like bullshitting, and I was like, yo, we're gonna be like,
keep doing and our kids,
kids are gonna be tired of our shit because we're still
saying. Y'all don't like, if y'all are listening or watching, like, y'all don't understand. We bullshit before and after these recordings. This is tame, actually. It gets worse.
What you're hearing is only 10% of like what happened. We record like 90 minutes into
one day I'm going to secretly record us and like put it out there. Just
right.
You won't even know. But anyway, Michelle, we'll keep going back. Sorry. She is super talented when it comes to this. She can tell you things over the phone, like real talk. I've seen her talk to people about stuff. She's talked to me about stuff, and you just can't, some people you can't just like make shit up with that. Like, you can't make up the shit that she was saying. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just so honest and real, and you can tell that she wasn't even coming from a crazy place. Like, I'm just so glad that she found an outlet for it, and she's actually making a living off of doing this.
That's good.
Because she's that talented, and people seek her out. She does like radio spots and stuff too. Like, it is some serious business for her. Like, it is so crazy. And the thing, what I was getting to was because we were talking about how youngins need a place to like, I guess, have an outlet for this.
Yeah.
So I remember when we were younger in Oki and I was hanging out with her, she would tell me that like her mom and grandmother would try to suppress it, because in Oki, some families are okay, like cultivating and building that, and some families try not to. Even if they know that their child can do it, they are like, oh no, you're just seeing things, you're just in your mind, because they know that the life can be really hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, for example, like my grandmother didn't suppress it, but she didn't tell us that she was a priestess, sort of. Like, my grandmother used to go,
like, you're not gonna find out.
She like, well, here's the thing. I didn't find out till I moved to the States. I didn't find out from my family. I found out from that weird psychic lady on MySpace or something that told me that my grandmother was thanking me for all the chrysanthemums that we sent for her funeral. I was like, what the fuck are chrysanthemums? Because I didn't know what those flowers were in English. I only knew it in Japanese.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Chrysanthemum, the white ones with the
kiku, with all the little tiny petals.
Pom-poms, yeah.
So that was
how you say kiku?
Yeah, kiku. That's the only word I knew for it. And she was like, and then the other thing that she told me was, no matter how much you run away from it, it's gonna find you. Like my gift or whatever. I was like, this lady is out of her fucking mind. I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? But then when I called my mom and to verify, she was like, yeah, she used to like go cleanse houses for people. I was like, what? She was like, yeah. I was like, she was like, yeah, she used to like go and do like prayers over people's houses or people, or I was like, what the fuck fuck are you talking about? Like, nobody ever told me this. I never knew till I was like 20 something. Like, I spent my whole entire like childhood not
They
knowing.
took that seriously, or somebody had a book, because you see it all the time, these TV shows and movies where you find a book and then it's like, why didn't you tell me so and so was this
so
or that?
Crazy.
And it's like, even like, let's say if we didn't have any ancestors to tell us in that way, it'd be nice to have a book to be like, all right, PJ, this is what your aunt goes through. This is what I've seen. This is what your grandmother's seen. This is what your father has seen and didn't want to see it.
I'm telling
you.
So
this is what you're like spiritually predisposed to.
Like, it would be nice if somebody like would tell people, like, instead of ignoring the children, because yes, there's like possibilities of psychological, like that's something you want to rule out. Because you want to rule that out. But then if you go through all of those things in the DMS, which is the book for psychology, with all of the possible, disorders that happen, you can look it up. It is a thing. I used to be a psych major. But if you go through all of the I used to be a psych major and a genetics major. I'm completely like at odds with all the things that I believe in. It's so crazy. But if you look it up in the DMS book, and if you don't find it there, then what else is the explanation? Like, there has to be something else.
And we are, as spiritually inclined as we are, and as much as we believe all this stuff, we are not above some practical answers, because sometimes it is not a haunting on Hill House. It ain't no demonic shit. Sometimes it is some logical shit. I would even say that like in church, because I used to hate when certain churches be like, oh, the enemy is busy. No, bitch, you're just making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Like, the devil's just
sometimes,
sometimes it's you, nigga.
Sometimes
it's you. A lot of times I feel like it's the people, especially when they're talking about, oh, the enemy's messing with my finances or a relationship or this or that. No, you're bad with money and have bad money habits.
Yes.
Or no, your nigga ain't shit. It ain't the enemy. He's the enemy, nigga. Your nigga ain't shit. Like, no.
I really do. I really feel like a lot of times, especially when it comes to the religious circle, and I don't want to offend anybody in any way, but this is the triangle. We don't give a fuck.
Now I don't want to offend anybody.
But because I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but I feel like a lot of times people who do say things like that are leaning into it too much and blaming those adversaries, quote unquote, when it's not actually that. You know what I mean? It's an excuse for them to not live life to the fullest. It's an excuse for them to not live their best lives on their own accord.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
through any religion comes self-accountability. So if you can't hold yourself accountable for something, you can't blame your downfalls on an adversary, or regardless of what religion it is. It is what it is. You have to hold yourself accountable at the same.
Come on, Pastor Kenny.
All right, Pastor.
All right.
No,
you got
really,
a church up here.
Oh my God. No, but you do have to hold yourself accountable. And then if you feel like you're being attacked after that, like if it's one thing after another, okay, then maybe that's another conversation. But if you make poor decisions, then of course you might have poor outcomes, Of
course.
Yeah, naturally. One would.
You know what I'm saying? I want to buy a house.
Cause and effect like a motherfucker.
And you don't save any money. That's not the devil. You just didn't save any money. Like, save money.
It's so easy for people, especially when they have been like churched in that way. Because I won't get on so much of the new schoolers, because we doing shit a little different.
Yeah.
But they're churched in that way, it's just easier to say, well, it is because this, or it's because, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I just can't give the devil that much credit. I'm sorry. And I ain't saying,
and I won't give it to him.
Don't do shit. Yeah. Right. But I'm like,
he's looking for it.
It's been very rare. I've been like, okay, this is the devil. Because I'd always believe, okay, there's my decisions. There's what God maybe allows me to be tempted with or go through on purpose. Like, almost like, well, here's your destination. But since you did this, and I still want you to get there, I got to reroute you. Kind of like a GPS.
You need to see this lesson. This is for
we're going to get there, but we got to go this way now because you chose this, and I'm going to let you do what you want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But this event right here still needs to happen. So, you know what I mean? But I've never once like, the devil, like, no.
I don't think I ever say that, because I feel like all the decisions that I make take me to the left or to the right. You know what I mean? And so if it's taking me to a weird place, then I probably shouldn't have done what I did. Like, Because at the end of the day, who's responsible for most of the stuff that you're doing? Yourself.
Exactly.
Like it's you.
If anything, the devil's probably like, thanks, you kind of did my job for me because your decisions are shit.
I think people, like I said, I think people rely on that line a little too much for my taste, because I feel like human nature, everybody does what they want to do, but they need an out, and that out is to blame something else.
And then if you're believing, go ahead, D.
Sorry. I said that out could be scary though. That could be scary because you, like you said, you're giving something negative so much credit.
Exactly.
Now you're putting that negativity.
You're giving it power. You're giving it power.
I was just gonna say that you're literally manifesting and calling it out.
You are.
So you go from it not even coming around to, I know motherfuckers that used to start up their day, like you asked them, how's it going or whatever. And this was like, I've seen it happen at a Baptist place I went to, an apostolic place I went to. And they would start off with like, oh, the enemy's been busy, the devil's been busy. And I'm just like, how do you start a damn sentence?
I can't, like, so
somebody asked you how you were doing, that's literally your rebuttal after
it's really crazy to me that people are okay with saying all of that and
fine with it.
Power. And you know what? I just started this book. It's loading. Hold on. It's The Power of Positive Thinking by, let me see, hold on.
Paulo Coelho. No,
Boy, who? No, sir. It's
the guy who wrote
Norman Vincent Peale.
Isn't that the same guy that did The Alchemist?
No. Oh, The Alchemist. Yeah,
Alchemist is the Paulo Coelho.
I was like, why do I know that? I got that book.
I was like, wrong book. Sorry, guys.
It's interesting. I have a tendency to read all these old books written by white people because I like to know what the enemy's up to.
But, no, don't say it like that.
The enemy. Nigga, you about to marry the enemy. You can't say that shit.
No, what I mean is the men in power, not just in general. I'm talking about the elite 1% or so that have all the banks and all the things.
Wealth.
I'm not going to say the names because I don't want to be cut off by YouTube.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about white people. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 1% that controls everything. And these people are connected to the people who wrote these books. And there's a
dope man.
There's a lot in there you would not believe. And it's the way they connect things. It makes so much sense. And that's why y'all think I know stuff. I don't. I'm just learning it. And I just know that.
No, you know it. You kind of were born. Don't downplay it, boo.
I'm not. I think it's just very important to like read things written by different types of people. So you're aware of all the things around you. So I have a fear of like the Black movement right now that's happening is because they're so concentrated on only Black authors and things like that. Then you get one-sided, and then you lose sight of what the other side has in for the situation, what's in it for them, and then you forget that they are planning just as much as we are.
And it's so easy for you to get blindsided.
Oh, absolutely. That so blind spot is where you need to be at.
That's where you need to be.
Learn your shit. You got to learn your shit, because your own history and your own accomplishments and the people that are of your origin is so important. But those blind spots, like you said, are even more important. There's a reason why people say keep your enemies closer. You know what I mean?
Because you have to learn your own method of attack. You have to learn how the lion pounces.
If you don't know
how they attack
you don't have to be. And you don't have to be so pro-Black where it's literally anti everything else. Because I think we all know we've either seen it online or maybe you know somebody. But I'm like, I have seen it go that far to where I'm like, I can't take nothing.
What do you guys remember the Dallas police shooting? Where the police got shot downtown? Okay, because y'all, if you don't know, if you're just joining us, I'm in the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's my metroplex. So I had actually followed this gal on Instagram, and because she was, like Black Lives Matter, and she was into the same fashion stuff that I was. But then as I saw her stories and as I saw her feed, I realized that she was like super like anti everything else that wasn't black, and I was like, that's not my style. I'm pro black. I'm pro. Well, like I'm pro black. I'm pro brown. I'm pro everybody. You know what I'm saying? In its own right. And I also believe in equality throughout all colors. Like I don't care what color you are. So that's my thing. I feel like you have to bat for the POC community harder because we getting it harder. So that's my stance on it. Like I love everybody, but I'm gonna push harder for Black Lives Matter. I'm gonna
absolutely.
I'm
like,
gonna
when you're
push.
at the bottom, if you're wanting shit to, if you're now, we've already discussed it before too. If you're wanting shit to be real equal, which y'all don't, but if you want it to be really equal, go ahead and let the last be first be last, and go ahead and rotate that shit out like that.
So like
but
if
that's
you
not what you really
but
do.
this girl got like crazy and I unfollowed her. Do you know she was one of the girls who ended up in the news being arrested for being in that area with the guns going down and shit? It was like crazy. I was just like, see, I can't get down with like the super anti everybody else, because that makes me feel like you're the opposite of the KKK. We shouldn't be the opposite of the KKK. We should be completely a different entity.
We should just be ourselves and be against them. You know what I'm saying?
We should be ourselves, self-loving, all loving, and then against bad things.
Them. Exactly.
You know what's crazy about you saying that too? I recently watched Joker over the weekend.
Ooh, I want to watch it.
That's what I got caught into a date that probably wasn't a date, but now I'm looking back at it, I'm like,
it's the date that we were talking about earlier today.
yeah, right. It's like, are you dating me on the low and I ain't paying attention? But let me ride this out. I ain't paying for nothing anyway. So
he got money.
Yeah, so
money.
All
of them money.
Oh my god.
Money, rich nigga. That's my ghost. My ghost is gonna come.
You got money. I'm saying.
Okay. Anyway, but I won't spoil it for you guys because the movie was very dark.
I can't wait.
And it was a heavy. The score was beautiful because I'm into the music and the scenes and everything else. Big on mental health. Still hit home on some areas on the Batman where I was like, I did not expect you guys to hit these points. So this was fucking genius because I thought this was going to be strictly Joker. And then when you get some Wayne elements in there and it's like foundational shit, I'm like, y'all did this shit. But anyway, there was stuff that happened where I'm like, I can feel for this character in the sense of, I always feel for somebody's origin story. But after you go off the deep end, I'm like, all right, there has to be a line being drawn here. And there was some shit that everybody was worried about that you see happen where those scenes were happening and people in the audience are clapping or cheering. I'm literally like this, y'all.
Oh,
because I'm like, what
like
the
hiding?
Fuck? I was literally like this because you can, some stuff foreshadows and other stuff you're like, what the fuck? And you're covering it. It wasn't because like I haven't seen anything graphic before, I have a thing against violence. It was just that was really shaking me emotionally, tying that into everything we're just saying, because I'm like, I can say that these people are fucked up for acting like this, treating like that, how government is running things and everything else. But that does not mean I'm ready to take motherfuckers out. That does not mean when the Dallas shit was happening that I was like, oh, great, they're going against the cops now. Awesome. I was scared because I'm like, I really do not need this to turn into a country. More so in the sense of how social media is. Not that it hasn't always been this way, but in the sense of the propaganda and everything being force-fed to everybody 24/7 on our phones and the news. This does not need to become a cops against the civilians type of thing.
I hope it doesn't.
A martial law push, which is...
It's very close to a martial law.
We're there almost, you know what I mean? That shit is scary to me. And I'm like, no, you can be pro what you want to be in a positive way as long as you don't hurt nobody. And still care about other people. Because there were some people of color I knew they didn't give a fuck. And I'm like, that's still somebody's daddy or husband or something.
Right. And I don't think people see it that way. And that's the problem.
Not anymore.
And it's hard. Like we just had I think it was Texas A&M had a shooting at the homecoming thing. Like 13 or 14 people got injured. A couple got killed. I think 3 people got killed or something. And at the vigil or the funeral, people shot that fucker up too.
Child.
Like, I was like, are you serious? Like, it's crazy now. Right down the street from me, well, maybe not right down the street, maybe like 10 minutes from me around the corner, there's a high school where football players got shot up. like trying to break up a fight. Like it's getting out of hand. It really is. It really is. And that's why I'm like, I think people need to like go back to where they're from, understand where they're from, the people who are around them, and like talk to their neighbors, talk to people. Because here's the thing, and I think I've said this before, like the media, social media, and the media sensationalizes the negative. And so there is more positive in the world than there is negative. I promise.
You're right.
Because if it wasn't for that, we would not have decent lives right now. You know what I mean?
We wouldn't.
No, it would be hell. There are countries where there are not decent lives. There are countries that are like hell on earth. And I know that. Like Venezuela, for example. You can't buy toothpaste for under $200. Like, what is that? That's crazy.
I heard about stories people going to Venezuela coming from the States. You get your money converted over. They have to give you a backpack to put your money in.
Right, because
their money ain't shit.
Yeah, their money is not worth anything. So if you go to Venezuela, you can like exchange $200 for a backpack full of money, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's insane. But
what?
I hope that it simmers down. I hope it does. Anyway, we off track.
That'll be for like a second episode before my phone dies.
Okay.
Before we wrap it up, I need to hear this story, CJ.
I'm about to tell it. Okay. I'm going to keep it short. So this is my crazy story. This is my possession story. So it happened 2001, 2, something around there. It had to be like 1 or 2. I was just dating this guy named P. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't know if this was back in Oki, you guys. We were out on gate 2. It was somewhere right after Christmas, before New Year's. So during the holidays. And we were going to Pyramid, the club. Sandstorm. Blur, guys. Oh my God, I'm playing that at my wedding, by the way. I think I'm going to have glow sticks at my wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So we can get out there and get it.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so we went to Pyramid. It was kind of early in the night, so there wasn't really people there yet, because it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's early for Oki time, you know what I'm saying? But we were like, let's get our drink on early. So it was me, a few other friends, and this guy, T. And T is the main character of this story. We get in, we order a drink or two. I'm on my second drink. T was like drinking his first beer. I promise it was his first beer. Yeah, just beer. Yeah. And if you know anybody from Oki, we have high fucking tolerance for alcohol. Let me just tell you this little tidbit. Okinawa, for the past, I don't know if it's still true, but I remember when I looked it up last time, we're the smallest prefecture in Japan, but we consume the most alcohol in Japan.
Man.
Dee's telling them to shut up. But we were the smallest prefecture, consumed the most alcohol. It was the craziest because we were just alcoholics, I guess. Anyway, so we're at Pyramid. We're like, oh, we're early. We can sit anywhere and like, you know, get all the booths and stuff. And I was looking around. We were walking around. I was like, oh, guys, don't sit over there. That doesn't feel good. I just like instinctively was like, don't sit in that particular booth. And like, I don't know, like half an hour, 45 minutes go by. We have a couple more drinks. Nobody is drunk at this point. It's only like 2-3 drinks in for everybody, right? That's like nothing. Yeah, that's like nothing. Well, I catch T sitting in the booth that I told him not to sit in. Yeah. And I was like, hell no. I was like, T, I told you not to sit in this. And he moved. And we were like, and I went back to the group, talking. And then a few minutes go by, my phone rings. It's T. I was like, what the fuck? And T's like, I gotta go. So he's no longer in the club. I was like, where the fuck are you going? He was like, I gotta go. And hangs up. I was asking my friends that were there. I was like, did you guys say bye to T? Because T just left. I'm talking, we were all like ready to like party for the night. So it was like, what the fuck happened? I was like, did he just like have a moment, or did something happen? Right. So I'm trying to call him. He won't answer. He called a couple other people and told them the same thing. I gotta go. And I was like, what the fuck? So I'm worried. And I was like, man, I gotta call him. He calls me back and he's like, I just got punched in the face and I'm running. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, are you okay? I was like, where are you? And then he hangs up. I was like, shit, something is up. Like, what happened? Like, I'm thinking at this point that he's upset about something because it was a group of us. I was like, did he feel like he got left out? Or, which is stupid because we're all really good friends with each other.
Right.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And then he calls again. He's like, I'm going to go home. I'm running. I was like, go home? Like, what is that fucking neighborhood outside of gate? Is it gate 5?
I'm like, where are you even gonna go?
His
Chibana?
Chibana, yes. So his Jeep was parked at Chibana housing where my friend Jay's house was. That's where we oh man, my internet is getting unstable. Hold on. I want to make sure that I'm not unstable. Am I good still? Y'all hear me?
You're good. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, there's storms, guys. I'm sorry. Texas has been raining since yesterday and there's been thunderstorms and all kinds of stuff. So if I cut out, I'm sorry. That's probably why I froze it earlier. But anyway, so Chibana is like far away. And if you're not from Oki, just so you know, I would say Chibana is like, 10 miles away at least?
Yeah, from Tsunade?
From Pyramids?
Yeah. From Pyramids, yeah, definitely.
At least 10 miles, if not more. If not,
well, 10 kilometers.
10 kilometers. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Kilometers.
So maybe like 6 miles away.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I'm like, this motherfucker said he's going to run 6 miles back to his Jeep. So I'm worried.
You say, wait, actually running?
No, run.
We all left our cars in Chibana and got dropped. Like, I got dropped off and everybody pretty much walked out gate 2 with no cars to go to Pyramid. Because my friend Jay lived there.
Oh, okay.
Older blonde
Makes
lady.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So my friend Jay lived there. So we left his car there. But anyway, so I get worried. My boyfriend at the time, P, is on call. So he's not supposed to leave the base, right? But I call him anyway. I was like, hey, P, something is wrong with T, and I really just need you to come pick me up and take me to Chibana. I swear this, like, I was like, just take yourself out. I was like, it won't take more than 20 minutes. I'm like, I know you're on call. I'm so sorry. By the way, if you're on call in the military, it's a huge deal not to leave your dorm. Anyway, so he's like, fine, I'll come get you. So he comes gets me from Pyramid. At this time, it's only like 10 o'clock or some shit. I don't know, 10:30. It's early for Oki. It's early for anybody, really.
Right.
So I'm in the car with him. He's driving me towards Chibana. He calls me. He's like, they're calling me. He called, and I'm like, who's calling you? He's like, they're calling me, and then hangs up again. I was like, what the fuck?
Was this during Obon?
No, it was right around the holidays. It was after Christmas, before New Year's.
That's right. You said that.
After Christmas, before New Year's. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, P, you gotta like step on it. We need to go find him. Because he wasn't on gate 2 at all. So he had already ran past gate 2, which I don't understand how fast he was running. This doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't, because I'm trying to imagine him. But anyway, continue.
By the way,
what if he was like running / crawling on the side of
By the way, before I get past it too far, that little corner booth that he sat in, the reason I told people not to sit in it is because I saw a person sitting in it that was not there, like a face. Yep. Some Asian guy that didn't exist on another plane was sitting there, and I was like, don't sit there. That's why I told him that. Anyway. So we're driving and he calls me back again. He's like, they're telling me to jump. I got to jump. I was like, what the fuck? And I'm thinking, okay, if he's jumping off of something, Chibana has 3 bridges. I was like, P, you got to drive me to each bridge. And I don't see him on any of the bridges when we get there. I was like, what the fuck? And he calls me. Oh my God. He calls me and he goes, I see you guys. So I'm like, shh.
What the fuck?
Where the fuck he at?
He's like, I see you guys. I was like, shit. So if you're walking on foot and we're driving, of course it's easier for you to see me, but that was creepy as fuck to begin with. He's like, I'm going to my Jeep. I'm going to my Jeep. And I was like, P, I was like, just go to Jay's house. Like, that's where his Jeep is. So he pulls up, I get out just as he climbs into his Jeep. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you okay? And then he's like, I don't know. And then he starts crying, D. He starts crying. And then he tells me the deepest, darkest things that he's never told anybody about himself. And I'm not going to repeat it because it's personal. But it was like half an hour of talking about his deepest, darkest secrets.
That is fucking crazy.
I'm telling you, I'm taking it to my grave. I've never told anybody and I never will.
Good,
the only person I repeated it back to was him. And he was like crying, and I took his keys out of his Jeep and I was like, come on. Because at that time, me and Jay were really close. So like, we're still like really good friends, but I had a key to her house. And so I was like, the kids are asleep because Jay was at the pyramid, right? And the kids were old enough to be asleep because the oldest was a teenager and watching the other two. The two on top were older, so they were watching. No.
I'm sorry, D looked frozen.
Oh yeah, D did.
No, I'm not frozen. I'm just like
he's just thinking really hard. So I'm like, let's just go to Jay's house, and I get him out of the car, his Jeep, and then we walk up to the door, and then he grabs his head and he's like, my head hurts, and he starts screaming, and I'm like, what the fuck, bro? At this point, I'm like, something is up. This is not normal. This is like something else, like out of this world. I was like, okay, I gotta like calm him down and see what's up. And then I'm trying to open the door to the house like really fast. And he like looks over my shoulder and he goes, he's coming. I was like, what the fuck, bruh? I was like, I don't know who's coming, but we're getting inside. We get him inside, and you know, it's base housing, so it's like a long hallway when you walk in, and then like one side is stairs to go upstairs, and then it's hallway, right, to the living room. He looks in the hallway, he goes, I just saw a shadow. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, it's probably Sass, like one of the dogs or one of the kids. I was like, I don't see anybody. So I was like, just get inside. And I was like, just go sit on the couch. I close the door, lock it. I send him to the living room. I go behind him. And I was like, I make him sit down on the couch. I turn around to pick up the remote to turn on the TV, right? Just to like fucking chill out. And I turn the TV on, turn around, and he's like in my face, like right here when I turn around. Like an inch away. His face is like literally an inch or two away from my face.
No, for me, dog.
And I was like, what the fuck, dude? And then in that moment, it didn't look like him. It looked like the person that I saw in the booth. So I really got scared also, and I slapped him really hard. And this was like a movie. I slapped him hard in the face, and he turned his face, and he slowly turned back. He got me. Okay, by the way, T is a Okinawan person. He is Asian, and he is shorter than me and smaller than me and tinier than me. He grabbed me by the shoulders and threw me onto the couch. Like, granted, I was a little lighter then because I was like right out of high school.
But still,
but I'm also, he's like 5'2", and I'm 5, almost 8, and chunky. Okay, I'm not a small girl. I've never been. He's skinny. He's Asian. He's tiny. He grabbed me by the shoulder and like threw me, and then he runs down the hallway to get outside. I was like, hell no, you cannot go out there by yourself. So I run to him, grab him, lock the door behind me, and I was like, I gotta get him to my mom. My mom would know what to do because mommy's always the person to go to in a crisis. So I'm trying to get him into the car on the passenger side. He looks past me again and he goes, he's coming. And I was like, what the fuck? Just get in the car, dude. So I get him in the car and I start driving. And by the way, this is years ago, guys. I'm running red lights. I do not give a fuck because it's late at night. It's Okie. Nobody's on the road.
Pretty much.
Bro, I'm telling you, when I said I was speeding and going like 110 km, I'm speeding. At some point, he's like, let me out. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? I'm going 110 kilometers an hour. You cannot get out. He tries to open my fucking door. Okay. He's He's
like tries to twist the knob and push in, or like
he tries to get out the door while I'm speeding down the fucking highway. I was on Highway 58, and so this guy T, he was homeschool, not homeschool. He went to what is it? School abroad from high school to whatever. So he speaks Japanese. Yeah, exchange student. So, and he didn't really speak Okinawan like Hogan that much because he didn't grow up around it like I did. I speak I can understand Hogan perfectly, like all of it, like because of my grandma. Like I speak it brokenly. It's not as good, but I can understand it 100%, right? And I'm driving, and he fucking says in Hogan, "Where's the salt?" And I'm stunned because he doesn't speak Hogan. He doesn't speak Okinawan like that. He asked me, so what he actually said was, Masua Mayaga. And I was like, what the fuck? He's speaking Hogan. What the fuck? Yes, he said, where is the salt is what he said. And so if you're Okinawan, sea salt is a cleanser. And a lot of what they call alternative religion, even like witches and stuff, they use sea salt to cleanse and other salts to cleanse.
How do you say it again?
Mas
Okay.
is salt. And I was like, shit, I have a little baggie in my car because for protection, right? And he's yelling, he's kicking. I'm holding him down with one arm so he wouldn't like jet out of my car at this point because he keeps trying to fight me to jump out of my car. So I grab, because the salt is on my other side. I'm using what's the other way around because it's in the oki. So I'm using my left arm to hold him down. I grab the salt with my right arm while I'm driving with my fucking knee, right? And then at some point there's a red light, so I stop and I break the salt bag open. I don't even care at this point because I'm like,
oh yeah, at this point, it's like, get it out of me. And
I break it over his head because I know that's the best place to do it, right? Like instinctively on your head. That's because that's where your third eye is. So I do that. He fucking passes out, y'all. Like he passed out.
I believe it. You hit him with that 100%.
He passes out and he's quiet the rest of the ride to my mom's house, to my house. He's quiet. So I get close to my house, close enough, and it's only like 11, maybe 12 o'clock at night. And I call my mom. I was like, Mom, something is wrong with T. I was like, I need you to look at him and see what the fuck is up. She was like, is he drunk? I'm like, no, he's not drunk. He had like one beer, maybe two, if I wasn't looking carefully. But there wasn't enough time for any of us to drink more than 2 or 3 drinks. I'm telling you, nobody was drunk, right? Because we got there at like 9-ish and I left there at 10-ish.
And even if you were.
Right. So
like, that still doesn't explain all that shit.
No. So I get home. I don't even park my car inside of the yard because I have to open a gate to do all that. I just park my car in front of the gate. I pull him out and I kind of like walk him up the stairs to my house, and we get in and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's like acting like this, blah, blah, blah. And my mom looks at him and she goes to the kitchen all calm and quiet and she mixes like salt and water and she was like, make him drink this. Make him drink it. And so I make him drink it. He passes out for another few hours. I want to say it was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. He finally comes to. At this point in our friendship, he's never been to my house, right? He wakes up on my couch and I'm next to him. I was like, are you okay? And he's like, where the fuck am I? The last thing he remembers is sitting in that booth at Pyramid. Nothing else in between. To this day. And then I started telling him all the shit that he told me while he was crying in the Jeep. And he was like, I told you that? He was like, I've never told anybody that. Those are like my deepest fucking thoughts. I was like, I will never tell anybody about the things that you told me. But I was like, this is what you told me. And I was like, you don't remember anything? He was like, no. I was like, I was drinking a beer at Pyramid. I don't know how I got here.
Did you watch that movie Split?
I don't think I have.
So when the main character, James McAvoy, is having all these personalities come through at different times, because he was the main character and had, like, multiple personality disorder, he would say that every single time the worst demon or entity in him would come forth, he would warn people, hey, he's coming. Like, this person's coming.
Oh, shit, really?
That's what that clicked in my head as soon as you said it, because the whole movie, he was like, the beast is coming, he's coming, he's coming.
Oh, my God, I might have to watch it. But, like,
It
was the craziest thing. And T has had so many experiences. Like, I got a few more, but I'm not gonna get into it because it's long. But that one had to be one of my personal worst, and I'm so glad I like got to share it with my mom, because I know that I'm not crazy, because the fact that she knew to make him drink salt water, you know what I mean?
And then calmly did it, like, all right, let me handle this. Like,
I had to make him drink it, but the whole thing, like when he passed out in the car when I broke open that bag of sea salt over his head, I about lost it. I was like, you have got to be that was the point that I knew for sure that he was possessed. I knew for sure. Like, even after I slapped him, I was like, this is crazy. I cannot be doing this right now. But then that whole pass out thing, I don't remember. And like the fact that he thought he was still at Pyramid when he woke up and couldn't figure, he was so disoriented when he woke up in my house on my couch, is the craziest shit.
Because you think you go to sleep one way or doing something one way, and you have hours to not account for it. That don't make sense.
He still, yeah. So from like that 10 o'clock to like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, those hours are gone for him. There's nothing there for him. And he, to this day, if you ask him about him, he does not know. He does not want to talk about it. And I'm sure he doesn't want to talk about it. Like, it was the craziest thing.
I think what probably freaked him out the most, and then we're gonna wrap this up because I'm tired now. The thing that
it's late.
Yeah, it's like 2 a.m. over here. So if y'all ever see me looking really just sleepy at the end of our videos, because I'm always up super late.
Yeah, it's like 1 for me too. Yeah.
But I think that'll one
midnight.
Yeah, I'm telling you those secrets, and just someone knowing something that you know. If I didn't tell you and notice, that's always gonna have somebody shook. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was just so beyond anything that I've ever experienced, even with all the shenanigans that happened to me paranormally, or you know what I mean? Like that took the cake for me, because it wasn't me personally, it was somebody I witnessed happening to that made it even worse for me, I think, because I was like, it's somebody who's my best friend, and I was like, I know who this person is. And for them to be able to do the things and say the things that they said within those few short hours, and then also not remember it at all, was like mind-blowing.
Right.
Completely. And that's why I always say there's, science is a thing, and I believe in science because I'm a science-minded person, but there's always that smidgen that you can't fucking explain, and you have to give
it's bigger than a smidgen at this point. It is bigger than a smidgen. You know what I truly believe? And I won't get too far in this because I don't want us to stay up later because I am tired. I do believe, as much as they try to push separation between church and state, y'all are using things, and I say church, I'm just meaning spirituality and all that in general. You're using these rituals, these things, because you know the power that it has. Like, I remember when I told you I went to St. Louis and hearing about like how St. Louis Arch is really like a portal people use to kind of like time hop. And I'm just like, at this point, with the shit that I know is real, I wouldn't
be surprised.
I'll buy it. And then I thought about, okay, what about like all major super like landmarks? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Like, if we do a viral vortex against those, is there huge hotspot in that arch?
Of course.
Perfect for crossing into other dimensions.
Yeah, we got a couple here in Sin City.
I'm sure you do, because
man, I don't even feel comfortable talking about it on here yet.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
But when the time comes, we'll talk about it.
We'll get to it.
It is so creepy. But maybe next Halloween I'll forget.
Maybe next time. But anyways, that is, it's almost longer than we thought we were gonna go. So maybe we should wrap it up. If you are enjoying this, we'll be back to our regular programming of shenanigans next week. Hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Oh my God, Brandy, that's such a loud yawn.
Make sure to like,
If you're watching us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Every Thursday at noon is when we drop our episode. Love us, hate us, let us know how you feel. Hope you have a happy Halloween. And happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to the queen. Hey.
Queen Spooky. What's up?
Happy birthday to my sister. My sister's birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday, sis.
Oh, happy birthday.
October babies.
Yeah, we're good.
And
my brother was on the 20th.
Oh, so happy birthday, brother.
Yeah.
Even though you're a Scorpio hoe, we forgive you.
Excuse me.
And on that note, we're wrapping.
On that note, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.